Are your solar diagnostic habits actually dangerous? I mean, seriously, think about it. Most online tutorials just tell you to slap your meter on volts and touch the positive and negative cables, right? They show these super basic surface-level voltage measurements. But here's the thing, they completely ignore the very real and often catastrophic hazards of live DC power. If you're just poking around an array without understanding meter limits, fuse protections, or arc risks, well, you're not diagnosing, you're gambling.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a massive leap forward together. We're going to elevate your diagnostic skills from that amateur poke and hope method to safe, rigorous engineering-level troubleshooting. Whether you're a hardcore DIY installer, tinkering with an off-grid cabin, or training as a professional technician, knowing how to properly use a multimeter on a live array is literally one of the most critical skills you can ever develop.
So here's how we're going to structure our explainer today. We'll start with the hidden dangers, then get into core solar physics, go over multimeter safety rules, break down a safe diagnostic workflow, and finally wrap up with finding real-world faults.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the hidden dangers. We really need to look at why basic testing routines can be a recipe for disaster.
Take a look at this number, 120. In a standard 60 Hz alternating current, or AC electrical system, like the outlets in your wall at home, power naturally crosses zero 120 times every single second. And that rapid, natural zero crossing actually acts to automatically extinguish electrical arcs. But solar panels produce direct current, or DC. And DC, it never crosses zero. The flow of power is constant. That means live DC arcs sustain aggressively. If you break a connection while the array is under load, that DC arc doesn't just give a cute little spark and die. Oh no, it sustains. It's like a tiny blowtorch that can easily melt housings and literally weld your connectors together.
And because of that relentless, continuous DC power, we run into some massive safety gaps out in the field that we absolutely have to avoid. Take unsafe short-circuit testing, for example. Doing that without knowing your meter's limits, that teaches incredibly dangerous habits. Or think about cold weather voltage spikes. Solar panel voltage naturally spikes when it's freezing outside, so an array that seems perfectly safe and well within limits during the blazing heat of summer, that same array can suddenly exceed an inverter's absolute maximum input voltage or even trip DC breakers on a frigid winter morning. No joke. We also have to watch out for improper live disconnects that can ignite wire insulation, and we must never ever ignore the safety CAT ratings on our handheld gear. Okay, moving on to Section 2, core solar physics. Because before we even touch our tools, we absolutely must understand the physics of what we're measuring.
Let's start by defining VOC, or open circuit voltage. Simply put, this is the maximum voltage a solar panel, or a whole string of panels, produces when there is absolutely no electrical load attached to it. The really crucial takeaway here is that to accurately measure VOC, you must physically isolate the array from your charge controller or inverter. You need the array to be fully energized by the sun, right, but not actively powering anything. That's how you see its true absolute electrical potential.
Now, on the flip side of that, we have ISC, which stands for short circuit current. This is the maximum current flow when your multimeter essentially becomes the actual short circuit path. And listen, measuring short circuit current is inherently way riskier than testing voltage. Why? Well, when you test voltage, your meter is basically just sampling the electrical potential across the lines. It's stepping back and observing. But when you test ISC, the full physical current of that panel literally flows directly through your meter's internal circuitry. You become part of the circuit.
Understanding these wiring layouts is basically the bedrock of troubleshooting. Let's contrast them. In a series string, panels are daisy-chained together. In this setup, the voltage adds up with each panel, but the total current? That stays exactly the same as a single panel. So one failed panel here can take down the whole string. On the other hand, in a parallel configuration, the current adds up with each new branch, while the voltage remains constant. In this layout, one weak branch is going to drag down the total current output of the entire array.
Now here are two engineering rules of thumb you should definitely keep in your back pocket. First, temperature primarily affects voltage. Cold temperatures drastically increase your voltage, which is exactly why winter system design calculations are so absolutely crucial. Second, irradiance, or sunlight intensity, primarily affects current, so heavy cloud cover will quickly collapse your current output and absolutely tank your production, even while your voltage might stay relatively stable. It's a key distinction to keep in mind.
All right, that brings us to Section 3, Multimeter Safety Rules. Because now that the physics are clear, we need to make sure you don't accidentally vaporize your equipment.
Let's review some common meter catastrophes. And honestly, the most violent mistake you can make is leaving your red lead plugged into the current, or amps, jack, while rotating the dial to measure voltage. If you do this and then touch a live solar panel, your meter creates a dead short. Boom. This results in an internal meter explosion, blown internal fuses, and a highly dangerous arc flash risk right there in your hands. It's a real nightmare. Another major error is reversing polarity, hooking up positive to negative. Doing that can instantly destroy sensitive charge controllers and inverter electronics.
Pay really close attention to this number, 10. A lot of standard, everyday handheld multimeters max out at exactly 10 amps, and usually that's only rated for very short duration testing. Large parallel solar arrays can exceed that amperage in a heartbeat. If you try to measure the short circuit current of a massive parallel array with a standard 10 amp meter, you will instantly blow its internal protection fuses, no question. For large arrays, you absolutely must step up to a DC clamp meter or use professional inline current shunts.
Let's move right into Section 4, Safe Diagnostic Workflow. We're going to take everything we've talked about and build it into a strict, professional 8-step process.
Step 1 is always verifying safe isolation. You have to ensure the array is completely disconnected from the load using properly rated devices. Okay? Step 2, verify your meter configuration. Literally, physically look down at your hands and verify your black lead is in the COM port, your red lead is in the voltage port, and your dial is actually set to DC voltage, not AC. Step 3, measure your string's open circuit voltage. And then step 4, this is where the real diagnostic magic happens. You cross-reference your measured reading against the mathematical expectation of what that string should be producing based on the panel labels.
Continuing that workflow, step 5 is verifying polarity. A negative reading here instantly warns you of reversed conductors. Obviously, never hook that up to your equipment. Step 6 is a thorough visual and physical inspection of your MC4 connectors and wiring. Step 7, only if it is genuinely safe and your meter is definitely rated for it, measure the short circuit current. And finally, step 8, compare your different strings against each other. Spotting large differences between identical strings is a fantastic way to quickly isolate specific shading issues or wiring faults safely, without just taking shots in the dark.
And that leads us perfectly into our final section, Section 5, Finding Real-World Faults. Let's see how we apply those exact steps to diagnose broken systems in the field.
Think back to Step 4, comparing expected versus measured voltage. Let's say you mathematically expect a series string to produce 120 volts, but you probe it and only read 80 volts. Bam! Your voltage test just quickly revealed a major failure. You've essentially lost the equivalent of one whole panel. This points directly to a disconnected panel, maybe a loose MC4 crimp creating massive resistance, or a failed bypass diode that's completely altering the voltage behavior. Conversely, if your voltage looks awesome but your current is terrible, you're almost certainly looking at shading on the array. Oh, and those loose MC4 connectors we just mentioned, they create severe resistance and heat, eventually melting the connector housings. It's actually something pro techs often hunt down using thermal cameras before a total burnout occurs.
I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative truth to remember every single time you work on a system. Sunlight equals voltage. Turning off your inverter does not make your rooftop wiring safe. Disconnecting your batteries, that doesn't make your rooftop wiring safe either. If sunlight is hitting those panels, the array is energized and it is dangerous. You must always treat exposed DC conductors as live and rely on accurate, methodical measurements to tell you the real story of what your system is doing. So, ask yourself, the next time an array stops producing, will you just be guessing, or are you ready to truly diagnose it?